All right, hello. My name is Rigo Jimenez. I am the RCO project lead intern. We're just going to go over this presentation as this is just a recorded session for those who missed the risk management live sessions. So we please ask that, you watch this video and kind of just read through the slides as I go. And there will be a quiz attached to this video in the description of the video. So make sure you fill that out and that will count as attendance. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, my name is Rigoberto Jimenez. I am the RCO project lead intern. And we're going to go over for the risk management for RCOs and presented by the clubs and organizations team. So today's agenda is about risk services, waivers for activities, events with minors, important campus policies, hazing prevention, conflict management, campus resources, confidential resources, reporting options, bystander intervention, and what happens when you violate policies. Okay, so while you're here, we want you to know the current guidelines for hosting, planning events. We want to give you guys general information about mitigating risk, and this is a required training, so 2 officers have to fill out the attendance sheet, and 2 officers have to watch this, or if a officer attended a live training and another officer is watching a video, that counts for 2. So just making sure that 2 officers from each organization complete this. Okay, so we're gonna talk about risk services. So risk services at UC Merced, we do have a website. It's risk.ucmerced.edu. Here you're gonna find a lot of things that you might need depending on the situation you might be in or the circumstances of what you're going through. So let's say that you need to report a claim for a car accident on the way to a conference. That's something you can find resources for on risk services. Travel risk management for travel, business, occupational health. If you have an events and activities, waivers for those type of things. So it provides guidance for risk assessment, loss prevention and control, facilities insurance. Any events with activities or minors will need risk services approval, and high risk activities will require those waivers that I was talking about. So liability waivers, they will look like this. You'll just kind of fill them out to your needs. So you would need to print these out, or if you want to do an electronic version, you could do that. This must be signed anytime a participant is doing something physical, such as a volleyball tournament, dancing, martial arts, anything like that. And if these waivers of insurance, if insurance is not purchased and these are not signed, then your members and your organization and UC Merced will be liable for what happens to that individual. So just making sure that you always have these filled out no matter what and keep them on record, because if someone does get injured and they don't have this form, again, there will be a lot of consequences for that. So if you would like to just pause the video, scan this QR code, you'll be able to find all the liability waivers on there. So if you want to do that, go for it. And so then I'm going to go ahead and continue. So the elective voluntary activity waiver should be used when a student or other individual participates in an elective voluntary activity such as a field trip, a recruitment program, study abroad, recreation program, or off-campus research activity. Group signatures is just a huge group of people are going to be participating in an event. There's a whole page called group signatures and you'll see it. Photo, audio, video recording release. Anytime you're going to take a public video in a like at an event, you would need these. Most of the time, UC Merced, at UC Merced, you'll be okay. However, if you're doing it like from people that are not on campus, then you wouldn't get these signed. An exhibit waiver for vendors who display low value items, and virtual program waivers. Events with minors. So anytime you want to have an event on campus and it involves minors, you would need to talk to Cindy Zimmerman, Zimmerman3 at ucmerced.edu. You would need to complete trainings for those as well as get waiver signed, because you are dealing with minors, and that is a very risky thing that an organization can do just because they are minors, obviously, and they are not students of our campus university. And anytime you see child abuse and neglect and act or neglect reporting act, like from the CANRA training, you would need to report those things if you have an event with minors, because that's what CANRA is. You would need that training, and you basically make the promise by doing that training that you will report to CANRA if something like that happens. And then you would need to have a meeting with Cindy Zimmerman to discuss your activities that you'll be doing with minors. So these come straight from the student code of conduct. So code of student conduct, UC Merceds are held to the high standards of the conduct set by the University of California and campus, as well as the general requirements of law. UC Merced students are expected to uphold these standards in all their academic and extracurricular activities. Number 2, sexual violence and harassment, SVSH policy is the university's procedure for resolving reports of sexual violence, sexual harassment, and other prohibited behavior as defined by the SVSH policy, where the responding parties are students, including the sanctioning of students who are found in violation of this policy. And free speech generally is fully protected unless it is accompanied by or incites illegal activity. This includes the expression of unpopular or controversial viewpoints and speech that is viewed as hateful or offensive. Speech used to threaten physical harm, however, is a good example of speech that may be regulated. Peaceful protest guidelines. If you would like to hold a peaceful protest, there is risks that come with it, obviously. So you would need to email Haley Montoya at hmontoya2 at UC Merced, notifying us that you do have a protest. We won't interfere at all. We just want to know that you're having it. And we'll just kind of walk around making sure that there's no exchange of words with people walking by. That basically we will be mitigating the risk by being there and supervising it. However, we won't butt in and say you cannot have it, obviously, unless we think that something bad might happen. Interim policy and on expressive activities describes the university's policy on expressive activities and assembly, including protests, demonstrations, outside speakers, and posting, including time, place, and manner procedures implemented pursuant to this policy. Number 6, there are no remaining COVID-19 policies. The only one is that we do ask for, if you have an inside gathering, for everyone to be wearing masks. And of course, if your plant is larger than 150 people, you're doing performances or bringing outside guests, these will require extra risk mitigation for us to review. But again, with the COVID-19 policies, you'll be okay. Conflict management. Okay, so we know conflict and issues arise within the organization throughout the year. And if for some reason you're not able to solve them, then the Office of Student Rights and Responsibility have provided some helpful tips to kind of get around the conflict. So how can you prevent conflict? They've said, lead through example, practice active listening, learn to manage your emotions. When conflict happens, be clear and concise, be transparent to your members, be transparent to the person you might have conflict with, be timely in addressing the situation. Don't let it fester, as that can bring on more problems. Be transparent with others when appropriate. Be wary of communication via email or text. It may be misconstructed. No interrupting, no name calling. Set boundaries for communication, collaboration, and decision-making. And after a conflict happens, restore those relationships to try to rebuild the community of your organization. Resources for conflict management. Office of the Ombuds is a good confidential resource. They usually will offer a 2 or multiple party mediation. All parties must agree to the mediation. Group facilitation, 3 practice circle, and training and professional development workshops that they do offer for organizations. If you request them and you would like them to come into your general body meeting, they will go in and go through conflict management. So if you want to do any of those things, this is a great resource. Of course, if you want to pause the video and get the resources phone number and emails or anything like that, or you need their office number, it'll always be here for you to find. Another resource is the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities. They are located in Granite Pass 167, and they are almost like the Office of the Ombuds, except they deal with a little bit more serious things, such as like hazing or like sexual harassment cases. They are the ones who deal with those kinds of risk management situations. However, they do offer workshops as well that may be very useful to your organization. Okay. So now we're going to go over hazing. So as of the UC Student Code of Conduct, hazing is described as the participation in hazing or any method of initiation or pre-initiation into a campus organization or other activity engaged in by the organization or members of the organization at any time that causes or is likely to cause physical injury or personal degradation of or disgrace resulting in psychological harm to any student or person. Where can hazing happen? Hazing can happen anywhere. Hazing is an activity expected of someone joining or participating in a group that humiliates, degrades, abuses, or endangers them, regardless of a person's willingness to participate. So a lot of times hazing happens when a member or new potential member does not want to do it, and they get kind of peer pressured into doing it. Even if they want to do it, it would still be considered hazing. So it doesn't just happen in fraternities and sororities. It can happen in clubs, athletics, performing arts, honor societies, academic clubs. It could happen anywhere. And even if you are not a new member, it could happen once you're a member as well. So some examples of hazing is like blindfolding, forcing someone to drink or do physical activities, and sleep depriving members. Three components that define hazing: group hazing, humiliating, degrading, or endangering behavior, and regardless of an individual willingness to participate. So the group context is you want to join a group and you are that one person who wants to kind of join it, and they've kind of hazed you into trying to get in. They haze you so that you could get in. And that's kind of like how this is being described here. So these are the recognitions of the kind of hazings that we see. So intimidation, deception, assigning demerits, silence periods, socially isolating new members, demeaning names, expecting certain items to always be in one's possession. These are very frequent. These happen a lot. However, they are not recognized much as hazing, as they don't really seem like a hazing thing, but they are. They're like a form of psychological hazing. And that's the kind of things that we've seen a lot around not just the campus, but like around the US and stuff like that. This happens very frequently. However, it's just not very recognized. So the more frequent it is, the less it's recognized. The less frequent it is, the more it gets recognized, like the violence and harassment. If you're concerned about something happening in your organization that you do not agree with, or you think it's causing emotional, physical harm to your members and you do not know what to do, there are three options you can do. One is to consult your club advisor. They also may be a mandated reporter. So if you do report to your on-campus advisor, it will get back to the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities. You can consult confidential resources immediately, or you can report the concerns to official reporting resources such as OSRR or Office of the Ombuds. So here are some confidential resources. We have CARE, which is the Campus Advocacy Resources and Education Center at UC Merced. We have CAPS. We have the Office of the Ombuds, and of course we have the Valley Crisis Center. Here are their informations if you guys would like to pause the video and write down their information. Reporting options. So if you ever need to report something, you could always report to a main concern to the Office of Student Rights and Responsibility. You could always file a report with the Office of Student Involvement as well. We have a link for you guys on here that you guys could type out, or you can always email Haley and she'll report you to the link, or she'll have you come in and talk about it. There is a confidential free call at 188-NOT-HAZE. And you could always file a report with UCMPD. So if you guys ever encounter or hear or find any situation where you would feel like you need to have a resources for sexual harassment, then ophd.ucmerced.edu will be the website for you to do a report. You can submit a complaint on this website, and you could also find resources on there if you would just like to do it verbally. However, like if you just need to do it kind of like on paper, then you could do it on this website. Okay, so now we're going to go over bystander intervention. So what is bystander intervention? Let's say that you see a group of people just sitting outside and somebody's kind of yelling at them, or they're trying to sell them drugs, or you see something bad happening. Remember that there is a good direct way to do it, or there's different direct ways to do it. So by doing that, you can remember the 3Ds here. It's directly approach the situation, just kind of go in there and get that person out of that situation, or you could distract them by kind of going in there and saying like, oh, hey, how you doing? Kind of slowly get them away, or you could delegate, find others to help you, or you can just kind of like go in there and basically use that distract method to delegate as well. As organization leaders, you have the responsibility to intervene when needed, set the example for the rest of your members. And now we're going to talk about what happens if you violate these policies. So there have been organizations or students that have violated policies that I just went through. So what happens is it'll go directly to the OSR office. They may conduct interviews with witnesses, new members / members, if it's like that's more applied to the fraternity and sorority life and clubs. The president will remain the point of contact when the student needs to talk to when the student conduct needs to talk with the organization. Student conduct has the right to implement any of the following sanctions, such as warnings, probation, suspensions, and/or dismissals. Educational components may be issued. So if a member and/or members violate policies, it gets caught, it will go directly to OSRR, and they will choose what to do. So if an organization is caught hazing, they will investigate the allegation. If there's proof, then there will be a suspension. Maybe you won't get to recruit. Maybe those members will no longer be members per OSRR, or they'll dismiss the organization depending on how bad the sanction is or how bad the situation is. So that's going to be it. Stay connected with us. We do post regularly on our Instagram. That's where you'll find mostly all the general activities that we host with our office. We'll also post our training flyers on there. Anything important for clubs and orgs will be posted on UC Merced OSI. And if it's fraternity and sorority life, it will be posted on UC Merced FSL. But if you want to get more information, you could always contact the interim director, Haley Montoya, or the RCO team at clubsandorgs@ucmerced.edu. Thank you for watching the video. And again, there is a link in the description of this video with the quiz attached to it. It's a Google Forms. Just fill that out with your organization name. Please type out the organization name completely with your name. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you.